Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode on the podcast. If you are returning as already a listener, thank you so much for joining me again. And if this is your first time, get ready because this is going to be an epic conversation. And thank you for choosing to join in. In this episode, I sit down and have a great conversation with my good friend Jules, who is a breathwork facilitator and the founder of BreathSeshh. She's such a cool human, and I love her mission of helping to regulate the breath of the planet. But our stories are so kind of intertwined and similar in terms of being from growing up being an athlete and having high expectations there to then moving into wellness or having an identity crisis and moving into wellness and where we sit now. And it was just a really, really fun conversation because there was so much overlap. And I guess the theme for it is Julia's journey to peace and purpose through breathwork, how that opened up her connection back to herself. We also spoke about embracing your authentic self, navigating life's challenges with breathwork, having a flexible identity, prioritizing inner fulfillment, balancing purpose and passion, embracing discomfort, and freeing yourself from society's expectations, and so much more. Julia's journey and this whole conversation reminded me that life is more than just the results and outcomes that you get. There's so much more of a deeper meaning to life. This was such an amazing conversation. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you do too. Also, before we kick off this episode, I want to say thank you for those that listen, for those that are on all our social media platforms, sharing everything, the clips that you're listening to the podcast, reaching out and sharing what impacted you. It means so much to me. So if you're not already, head across to Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, follow the page. There's either my handle, Carlo_Cirillo, or The Conscious Podcast altogether. You'll see all the clips. You'll get to connect with me and the guests and see all the upcoming goodness. And I'm so excited after my year break of going through my life challenges and becoming a father and all these different things. I am finally back in sharing the things that I'm most passionate about through my program, my 8-week program, some events, some courses, my membership and community, the Conscious Collective is all happening right now. Obviously, depending when you're listening to this, but it's all in the stages of launching and being announced and all those things. So if you are interested in any of those things, if you want to connect and be a part of this epic community and all these things that I've got coming out, whether in person or online, you have got to join the email list. That's where you're going to get notified about everything. Yes, there's things on social media and yes, there's things on my website, but you might miss those. If you just join the email list, you'll get an email telling you about all the things that are coming up. In those emails is going to be all the exciting things that are coming up and how you can get involved and be amongst the community as well. So if you're interested, head to www.carloscirillo.com/community and you'll be able to put in your email address and where you're from. And then I can update you on all the exciting things that are coming out in the near future. Thank you so much again and enjoy this episode.
Julia, how are you, lovely?
That question, that's such a loaded question. Wow. In my day-to-day, when people ask me that question, I'm not sure if people actually want the genuine answer. So I sit with myself. Sometimes I say well, sometimes I say good, because I just don't want to talk about it. Or I don't know how I'm feeling. But yeah, that question really rattles me sometimes, because sometimes I can't articulate how I'm feeling. But I'm feeling right now, which I can articulate, really grounded and in a playful mood. And very much at the seat of the witness, like observing myself in every moment. Like when I was on my way here in traffic, driving the opposite direction.
Backstory, Julia sends me a text of like the if you didn't send that, you would have ended up somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like lucky you sent
Yeah, I
it.
would have
You
got
sent me,
there
like,
and be like, oh.
the map, and she's like 40 minutes away, and I was like, hang on. That's the address, but that's the wrong suburb.
Full trust though in like the the system of the iPhone. But yeah, just like laughing at myself in traffic and noticing myself wanting to distract or listen to something or go on the phone and just like and then like sitting with it and being like, oh my god, this is so uncomfortable. Fucking hate traffic sometimes, most of the time. And it's like, very much in the seat of the witness at the moment in my life, watching the discomfort. See, when people ask me that question, this is the tangent that I can go on, and people are like, oh, I don't know, I didn't really care. You know?
It's just being nice.
It's just being nice. Or it's just like, yeah, well, so I guess it's the time and place to take it there. So
have you always been like deep thinker when it comes to questions?
Yeah. For a while I pushed it down because I thought, because my family always reflected back at me, hey, don't think too much. Don't look too deeply into things. I thought that was a bad thing. But I've always been curious, and it's like, something's up here. Like, this doesn't make sense. What's going on? Do you guys see this? Why are you so committed to this narrative or this environment, especially in school?
So at school, you were questioning.
School, I was just tapped out. It's like, what's going on? What is this? What am I doing here? Yeah, lots of questions.
Damn. I think I just ran through it, and I was just like, waiting for lunchtime to kick a ball, like.
Yeah. And I was just watching it like a play, watching it all. Maybe I wasn't consciously aware that I was doing it, but I felt that something was. I just couldn't submit myself to what was happening.
Did that relate later on in life?
In what way?
Coming into society, into the norms of, the pathway of what's expected in life? Yeah.
I never got a 9 to 5. I left school and took a gap year, and then I was chronically in pain for a long time, and then I had surgery halfway through my gap year. And then I went to photography school because didn't know what else to do. And I was like, I'm not going to go to uni or like take the normal path because it just doesn't feel right. So I'm just going to go and do this. I guess I was kind of uni and taking the normal path in a sense, but it felt aligned to some degree. Yeah.
Same.
What was the question again?
Were you always observing and looking at life the same way, like life after school?
I felt like my gifts weren't harnessed, and I was always trying to find an environment where I could be me or not be told what to do. I didn't like being told what to do or how to think or how to be or how to look, or it just didn't sit right. So, yeah, that's traveled with me throughout everything, actually. Yeah. Having jobs. I've had like 10 jobs. And every job has been like a fight. Yeah. It has.
So we need backstory, because I met you 2 years ago?
Longer.
3?
Yeah.
Maybe was
4.
it a beach session?
Feel Good Dips.
Or Cold and Conscious? One of those.
Yeah.
One of the beach sessions.
One of them.
We met. It was like, I don't know. It just seemed genuine and authentic. We were talking about this before. It was just like, it's a cool chick. It's a cool human. I want to know this person. And we related on our soccer backgrounds and all that sort of stuff. And we went bouldering. That was fun. Definitely want to get back into that again. And we've just stayed in touch. Like, you've done your things. I've done my things. We've kind of crossed over because of breath and all of that. And it's been beautiful to watch your evolution over the years and witness that. But I guess and we've talked, I know a bit about you, but for those that don't know much about you, and including myself, can you give us a synopsis, a brief overview of Julia from where you started to what got you to where you are now and what you're doing right now?
Where I started in what regard?
Growing
My
up?
inception?
Yeah.
Far out.
Like, the main points that you think...
Define me.
Yeah.
Well...
Your journey.
What I thought defined me up until 19, so that entire time, was my ability to be seen on the field.
What field?
Any field. The quantum field, nah. Any field. Soccer, footy, basketball, tennis, dancing. I could have been a dancer. That was the main thing for a hot minute, and then I ran away from that because it got too confronting. But I would have to say my identity was purely based on my ability or inability to perform. I didn't realize that until I was older, that I was cultivating this sense of security in self in being an athlete. But in the early years, it was purely about joy and being better than my brother. 4 years older, he sculpted me, cultivated me into this like weapon on the field. He really did. I was quote unquote born to be an athlete and to be a star, particularly with soccer. So I would say my whole life revolved around that up until I was 19. And of course the attachment to that identity, it had to break down because I was so attached to it. It just did. And that was the beginning of the end for me at 19. And a new path opened up within self-exploration, inner exploration. And since then, it's been like this. I'm scared. No, I don't want to see that. No, I don't want to know that. Drugs, partying, alcohol, sex, whatever. And like, actually, no, I've lost everything. I'm not going to be the athlete. I'm not going to play for the Matildas. I'm not going to be the star that I thought that I was going to be, that I could have been. Fuck it. What is this path? Why do I keep being taken here? I'm just going to go there. Touching certain parts of myself and then just being so filled with love that all you want to do is share it. And so that's the inception of BreathSeshh. It's like my fear of this truth is so strong that I'm going to create a business around it, because if I create a business around this thing, then I'm going to have to show up to it. So that was the intention of BreathSeshh. I guess 2 intentions. It's like, wow, this is incredible. I just want to share this with people. I just want to talk about it. And 2, I'm so scared of this. I need to commit to it. This is the only way I'm going to commit to this path. I actually have to show up to it. So it's a bit scattered, but that's, yeah. I guess now where I'm at is the character that I've even built around Jules in BreathSeshh is starting to break down in the most healthy way. I'm not that either. Like watching the pattern of attaching to the athlete identity similarly to you. That's not me either. This is just pure love and joy. And it's just a vehicle for me to do that. But I'm not boxed in this area. I'm so many things. So, yeah. Leave it at that. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
You're a good listener.
Oh,
You are.
man, I'm everything you're saying, I'm like, yep. Yep. I relate.
Yep.
I relate. And it's interesting because even, you know, we were chatting a little bit before is like, and you were just saying then like the breakdown of the identity of, because we said before, or you said before, it's that attachment to it. And especially with, let's go back to the soccer, because I was the same. 19 went overseas to play in Europe. 21 was like, agent was like, you're never going to make it. And I was like, no, I can do it. And yeah, found out that I wasn't going to get to that point. Or you could, it's just going to take a lot of work. And was that the life that I wanted, or was it the one that I was living based on, that's what I've always done, the identity, that I am the soccer player, so I should do this. And it's like, yeah, I think many people have that realization later on in life because they stay with that thing for so long that it's just their life. And even now, I haven't played the game for 5 years, and it's there's like I love, you know, the game, let's say, and I run a soccer academy now, but there's no like I have to go do that. Like I've got friends that play professionally now, and I just go, that's great. That's not a lifestyle that, you know, it would have been nice. But I'm also very grateful that I stepped on this path. And did you, on those moments, especially with the soccer one, was it hard to let go of that identity?
Absolutely. Like my whole sense of self and self-worth was based on Jules, a soccer player. She's incredible. And like you get told that for years, you're going to make it. It's like, oh, who am I now? You know, it took me to the place of suicidal thoughts and just not wanting to be here anymore. And I really had to get to that place of pure death to evolve, to recreate, to have that, fuck it, I've lost everything. Now what? Pure possibility. What else is possible for me? This was the only thing I thought that I was good at, really. But that's not true.
Do you think you still... Is there parts of that still in you? Or is it like you've come to peace with that?
I'm so at peace. I was kicking the ball at one of my community gatherings with one of my facilitators. She brought soccer ball. We actually played soccer together, actually. And we were kicking, and I was a bit puffed out. I'm like, fucking bit unfit here. By the end of it, I was like, I'm so good with this. This has filled my cup.
Yeah.
This is all I wanted. 10 minutes, kicking the ball, running around. I'm so good with this. It caused so much destruction in my life that I feel like I fell out of love with it. But now I can see it from a very objective place. And what I really wanted from soccer in general was community and like a sense of belonging. And to play. But as it moved into the more professional realm, it became more about competing, and the pure joy of it that I felt when I was little was just got taken away. It became so serious, and like, this is not me. I'm not that serious. It's not that deep. We're just playing a game. And from that place, I was an incredible player because it wasn't that deep. But yeah, my body just gave up because it was rejecting the entire path of being that kind of a human in the world. There was more for me.
Yeah. And any athletes that are listening
Not
right
that
now.
That is any less than, right?
Exactly. I was just going to say, because even for myself, it was like, if that's your path and it really aligns with you, then amazing. For you and I, it wasn't.
It wasn't the path.
And it was part of our life, but it wasn't our life for the rest of our life. And I you know, even when I look at sport now, it's like, even for a soccer player, you get to a certain point, and if you play, it's only for a certain amount of time. What about the rest of your life? And I love that you said community, because for me, playing, I was very blessed to have played for Victoria and played for an Australian team that went overseas and play overseas. I played for, I think, over 10 different teams. So I met a lot of really good friends that I'm friends with to this day. And, you know, my last year of playing, my 2 last years of playing in Mildura, I played for my childhood team, which was great because they were all my cousins I played with when I was 6 years old. Now we're older. We won every game like 10-0.
6 years,
It was
wow.
yeah. So that they stayed in that team, and that's their local team. I went back and I was like, oh man, the year before I was playing in Europe. Like, it's such a different league. But I came back with, because it was a local league, I was like, there's no pressure. Whereas when I was overseas, I was stressed. You'd have to watch what you're eating. You were always, competing for your spot. I had players in the Netherlands that they treated me like shit. And it was only for 2 years at this one team. Some were beautiful friends that I still talk to this day that really helped me with the language, with, transport, all those things. But some players were absolute assholes to me. And it wasn't until the presentation night of the last year that I played that I said, I'm going home, that they were drunk. And they came up crying and they're like, we're so sorry that, we didn't help you more. We thought we're sorry. We weren't nicer to you. And that was nice to kind of hear that. But it was also like, but what environment was created? Like, why would you do that to someone? Because I come from like, I accept everyone. Like, I want to be nice to everyone. Even when we were playing Vic and someone was competing for my spot, it was like, good job, man. And I think there's certain types of people that have so much kindness that they want to share, and other people that, even in this industry that we're in now, we were talking about this before, it becomes so competitive because people are like, they're my clients and I'm running events, so I want it for me. And if I don't get those people, then I don't have an income. And then it's that competition side never resonated with me. I love collaboration. And that's where, when I went back to my old team, and then the next year there were certain things that happened that I was like, I actually want to play for the other team that's the worst team, came fourth in the league. There's only 5 teams. Came fourth in the league, but one of my good friends was on there. I was like, well, I can play for them. Like, why not? And I came midway through because I was in Bali, and I played for that team, and it was all backpackers. And I love that because it was new people. I traveled a lot. And it was just about fun. A lot of Brazilians. So it was, Thursday nights was beers and just very chill. There was no politics, no drama. That was the funnest year of my life at 25. And from the team that was the 4th in the league, we ended up winning. We bet my old team. Here's the thing. That was amazing. It was just celebrations galore. But some of my relatives don't talk to me because I played for a different team and beat them. It's like this, you did this to me. And I'm like, wow, this is a game.
It's a game.
Like, we're family. Like, we've been friends since we were 6 years old. Like, who cares? Right. And that side of me was like, I love this sport, but that side of it,
I'm not that invested. Yeah, you can zoom out, right? You can see it. This is a game. It's the same with a human game. Yeah. It's like, this is a game. Are you having fun?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. How do you have more fun in this game?
Realizing that it's a game. And also realizing that, this has come up recently for me, and this is specifically coming from a book that I've read, Breaking Loose from the Money Game, this idea about life being a game. So I want to preface that. Realizing that it's a game, and then realizing that the purpose of the game is to hide all the power of who you are so that you can then find it again.
Explain.
Coming here on this earth, on this planet, as an individual with limitations in this human body, in this human form, but underneath being an infinite potential being. And I guess to summarize it, the purpose of the game would be to come here as a human and to forget that you are an infinite being in this limited body, so that you can then progress to realize that you are an infinite being. And what this guy shares in the book, I'm not sure what his name is, Robert Shine. is to realize that it is a game and it's not that deep. And to just realize that it is a game. Like, I think that's what it is. So you can zoom out. Things like breathwork and meditation give you that ability to watch the human mind want to attach to the melodrama of what's happening in this game. It's like theatre. It's pure theatre. It's like a movie. When you go to the cinema, you sit down and you completely invest yourself in it and you think that it's real. Like, you want to watch it. Like, you want to believe that it's real because it's fun. So you submit yourself to it. And then you leave and it's like, oh. It wasn't real. It's the same as this human game. But we submit ourselves to it because it's fun to do that, to play. I feel like, I'm not sure if I'm losing people here, but it's a bit of an analogy there. Yeah.
How do you then, having these realizations, how do you then operate?
Show up in the world.
Knowing that it's a game, yeah. Because it's like, I guess even from my experiences in doing things that I thought were going to be my thing for life and the identities I attached to, and then every time I've done that, life has, dropped me back down again and been like, detach. Like, you are okay even if I take everything away from you. And I've had to have that realization and be like, okay. And it's, turning 30, everything that's happened in my life in the past 24 months has just shown me that I get to choose what I want to create, who I want to create, and what life I want to live.
Yeah.
How do you show up? Because you said it only happened recently.
What's that?
With breath? Like the identity part, you were starting to notice that?
Yeah, maybe like...
BreathSeshh, sorry, not just breath. Yeah.
It's been happening for a year. Yeah, and it stemmed from that time of like when someone called me Sesh, and I was like, oh shit, that's not my name. I'm so immersed in this.
Yeah.
This is not who I am. This is its own entity. BreathSeshh is not Jules. And I'm not Jules, but that's another story. What was your question?
How do you show up in the world?
How do you show up in the world, knowing that it's a game?
Yeah. Even
How do
after
you
those,
detach?
even if those realizations that you've had, how do you now show up in the world? Because the things that you've been able to share with the world are so powerful. Like, look at the events, the attendance, the impact, the community that you've built. It's, I'm sure you're proud of it because I'm proud of you for it, but it's, you were saying like you had another of the identity things. It's like, how do you then, you're doing something that you love and sharing something really powerful. How do you still, how do you not attach yourself to something like that? Because even I struggle with that.
It's an active practice and I'm working through. I'm like, haven't reached an end point, to be honest with you. It's like something I'm still learning and will continue to learn because I have really interesting dreams and goals and desires. They're very abstract and they require me to tread my own path. So that does come with attachment. To answer your question, it would be to again realize that I'm not the result of the actions that I take. My worth isn't based on what I do. Like, I'm intrinsically valuable, regardless of what I create and do. It's all just playing. It's like, yeah. I've found that breath is the tool, one of the most powerful tools to really remember that. Also, being in nature and perceiving yourself in this, like, I'm tiny. Seeing the ocean and being like, shut the fuck up. Just being able to humble yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
And at this point in your life, what are you most passionate about?
Mm-hmm. Creating things with people that bring a sense of joy within me. Creating things that I enjoy for me. Creating things for me. Because I know when I create from a place of this is aligned to Jules, that's doing the external world a great service. Not creating for the other, not doing what I think I should. The most joy comes from, what does Jules want to create? What am I getting inspired to do? And bringing that to the world. I'm really passionate about, at the moment, fine-tuning my ability to listen to the inspiration. It's like, that's my entire focus at the moment, is cultivating myself as a vessel to listen to the messages so I can take action from that place. That's bringing me a lot of peace. Again, being the witness. What is happening? Get out of the way. Get out of the fucking way. What wants to happen? Whether I like it or not. It's, yeah.
Yeah. It's powerful. And has this come as a byproduct of the breathwork you've been able to do, or is it breathwork has just been part of that journey?
I don't know how to answer that question, to be honest. Breathwork is a tool that's allowed me to feel what I need to feel in order to move through whatever I need to. I would say life itself is the byproduct. Just being here is confusing and confronting and random and weird and exciting. It's just like things just happen. And breath is the tool that I use, amongst other things. But just, yeah, I think life is the byproduct, right? It's like shit's just gonna happen. So what are you gonna do? How are you gonna react, or like how are you gonna perceive it? I feel like I'm not really saying much right now, though.
It's beautiful.
I'm just saying words.
You're on track.
Yeah.
I'm getting it.
Yeah.
It's very philosophical.
Yeah, it's very philosophical. It is.
And all right, well, because most people know you for BreathSeshh.
Yep.
In terms of, they've met you through that community or seen your events and been part of an event where you've facilitated, and your way with how you facilitate a session is powerful. Where did that start? Where did breathwork come into it for you?
Breathwork started during COVID. I was going through a breakup, moving through my injury, which was a sporting injury, ankle reconstruction, whole shebang. It was just like life had self-destructed itself. Everything was just falling apart. And I would say that my connection to spirit started way before. I mean, we are just spiritual beings though. So it was just like my remembrance started when I was 14, when I read The Power of Now. And that was really big and confusing at that time. I couldn't relate to people, and I didn't want to perceive the world like that because it wasn't what I was being shown, so I wasn't ready. But it came back when I was going through that period of injury, struggle, mind going crazy, I don't want to be here anymore, just rock bottom moment, first heartbreak. It's just like, yeah, that fuck it, I've got nothing to lose, what now? And breath was like that magic piece of the puzzle that physios and doctors and all of the health practitioners that I was interacting with for a long period of time regarding the chronic pain that I was experiencing, not mine, the chronic pain in my ankle from sport. It's just like, no one was talking about this, or maybe I just wasn't ready to listen. So it started when everything came crashing down. Which sucks that it has to be like that for so many of us. I think humans are just wired like that. It's like we won't see it until it's right in front of us, and then we'll take action. And that's been the pattern for me my whole life, and I'm really in the place of like, actually we don't want to do that. Like we're not doing that anymore. It doesn't have to always reach a place of complete destruction to take action. Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate. Like it was only like when it was rock bottom, then a different action or change would be made. Kind of like stick with the thing, coast through it until it turns to shit, and then oh no, I've got to make change. I've got to change, or I've got to notice what I've been avoiding for so long in order to make those changes. And I think it's a blessing in a way, but like you said, I'm also in the point where I'm like, I don't need it to do that anymore. Maybe I can notice things beforehand.
Yeah.
And set things in place. And I know for me, it's like, connecting with my values and my mission of just being a human is that if it aligns with that, awesome. It doesn't have to be these like low lows and high highs. It can be more like this. And for those listening, it's like, it doesn't have to go so far up and so far down like that yo-yo. I think we're going to experience those emotions, but I've always been told if it's in, hovering around the middle, then you're dead. Like, you're flatlining. And everyone's like, you don't want to live like that. But I'm like, well, yeah, but also like those high highs, low lows is where your nervous system is just shot. And that's why it is so chaotic and stressful. And those moments are going to happen regardless because life is going to give them to you. But I don't have to. Hopefully I'm learning from these experiences to be more calm in my life and have more, I guess, stable movement in my life. And over the, short 30 years of my life, it's now I'm starting to take notice of, what things keep me in a level state? And can I do more of those things? And it was never any of the extreme things. It was, the simple things, nature, looking after my body and my health, time with friends. It was never about the stress of business and all of this. Like having a normal quote unquote normal job now has made me realize that business is fun. You get to do that. You can do that. You don't have to do it, but you can. There's so many things that we can do, and I think it only took the rock bottom, like you were saying before though. It's taken the rock bottoms for me to go to zero, go to the depths of those emotions, to then sit with myself and be like, what now?
Feeling it fully. It like provides the space for you to be like, fuck, I actually have to feel it. Otherwise, what? I'm just going to be here. I need to change something about this. So I got to feel it. That's why I love breathwork, because it gives you that ability to sit with yourself and feel it fully so that you're not addicted to the emotion. So you're not going like this, up and down. It's like the emotions are happening, but you're just watching them happen. I think that's the difference. It's like, not that you're not feeling and you're flatlining, you're feeling fully, but they're passing. And you're just watching it. And you're just watching the movie. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's the closest point to God that you can get to. as a human.
Because I think if we're attaching to the emotion, that's when it's the
Yes.
down
Yeah,
here
yeah, yeah.
and it stays down there
Melodrama.
for a long time.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. Like, what's going on?
Then it comes into the
Then
victim
up
and yeah.
I gotta go out there and get it again. What?
Yeah.
There's no out there. And when you're at that rock bottom, you realize I gotta conjure up the energy within me to make something else happen. Oh, the power's within me. It was always within me. Interesting. It's like that, that pure possibility point.
And that's where I've had people, whether it's come through my program or even just friends that reach out going through a tough time, like I'm at the point where it's like there's nothing I can say that's going to change anything or direct you in a certain way. It's like you have to find that within. No one could help me when I was at my rock bottom. Like no one could say anything that would change it. It was I had to feel it and then, like you said, conjure up that energy, but then remember that, I have that power within me.
You have to choose it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I could have chosen to sit in it for a very long time, and unfortunately there's people that sit for months, years. But it was amongst all the things that have happened in my life, and again, a lot of it's private, I can either sit in it and go, poor me, or go, I can make the most of this situation because life's going to pass anyway.
I had a friend say to me recently, just like on this topic, of like why we sit in it and why some people don't take action and change it. And she tagged it and titled it as like these self-fulfilling prophecies that we have that are actually enabling the behavior because we perceive that we're getting more from it, even if it's bad for us, than if we were to stop it. It's like a smoker knows that's bad for them, but it's relieving them of their stress. Was the example that my friend shared with me. So they keep doing it. So the perceived value of that is way higher. So we keep doing it.
Mm-hmm. And it goes back to what you were saying before. Like then it creates an identity around it, and then to break that identity is tough because it's losing
safety, comfort,
sense of self. That was not actual self. It's like the built-on things. That's like I'm Jules or Carlo, the soccer player. It's like no, you were Jules and Carlo before you played soccer.
Yeah,
soccer was just a thing that you decided to do. Yeah. It's we're saying it. It's much harder to feel it and go through it. And maybe someone that's listening or watching right now, like maybe you can look at it as your career. Like that's definitely one that I've seen a lot of people, even myself, like attached to. It could be, parents, as, even myself as a parent now, like when people ask or any of these things, it's like, yeah, I'm a father. Yes, it's a beautiful role. And I want to be attached to that because it's my role for life now, but I'm still Carlo. And I get to choose those things that are there. And if I'm, I don't really want to put that out there, but those things can change. And those, like lots of things in life, you can lose people in your life. I lost my grandfather a couple of months ago. And it was like, in those moments, again, another hard moment in life, very painful. It made me go, life is short. How can I just make the most of it? And if I'm attaching to, I'm Carlo, the podcaster, Carlo, the ice baths or meditation, whatever, they're fun roles that I can play because for me right now, they align with the purpose that I feel I bring to the world and how I want to share that in a fun way. Mm-hmm. And when it starts becoming not fun, that's when I know pull away, like step away from it. And that's what I've had to do. And it's been so hard. Have you experienced that where you've had to just like take a step back because you're like, it went from fun, as you were saying before, to something that was bringing more stress than fun? Or has it always just been fun for you?
Definitely like being someone that is building something, especially in the business world. Lots of voices, like you shared. So many ideas of how something should look. I've had moments of, also not listening to myself and not doing it the way that I would want to, or the way that I'm being led to, and silencing that voice that knows where it needs to go, and even attaching myself to how something should look instead of how it is right now, how it should be. And just the idea of like where you should be at by a certain point or age, or like what it should look like. It's just, that takes away the fun. And I've experienced that so many times. I've had like 4 burnouts within the realm of BreathSeshh, 2 breakups within it. Like, life is happening whilst I'm building this beautiful thing. And I always knew it was going to be a self-development, self-realization kind of portal for me, which is why I committed to it. And I love it. I'm here for all of it. So I think that's fun when I can zoom out and see that it's allowing me to become the leader that I always knew that I was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why BreathSeshh?
Why BreathSeshh?
Yeah. Why? Why do you do it? Why choose to embark on that journey?
Because it's what I need to hear. And in me speaking to myself, people get value from that. I'll be speaking to myself on these things anyway. I love talking about what I talk about. It's the only thing that when I'm doing it, and if I feel really tired before a session and I do it, or if I'm feeling like I just don't want to do this right now, or guide this course or guide this session, whatever it is, I'll do it and I feel completely energized after it. I'm like, what is this? This is weird. Why do I feel so filled up from this work? It's because I'm reminding myself, and it's because it's coming from a place of true embodiment. Like what I'm speaking and sharing about, I embody. And yeah, just love it. Just love it. It's easy. Yeah. It feels easy and natural. I'm not trying to do anything. It's just like, this is how I talk anyway. Yeah. I found a way to make that work in this 3D realm with BreathSeshh. And I'm sure there's going to be other ways that I do that. But yeah, at the moment, it's that.
Yeah. I can relate. Like, every time I've gone to do whether it's a meditation or a 1-day in-person seminar, 2-day in-person seminar, the next day I'm rocking up with like croaky voice from the day before and like tired and underslept, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this day. And then I go do it, and it's like, for me, it's being on stage, it's being at the front, like teaching, sharing the things I'm passionate about with my Conscious Blueprint program. And when I do that, it's like it just gives you energy. I think that's such a clear indication of when you're doing something that's, really purposeful for you, like it gives to you as well as others.
That's just a byproduct.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like it's spilling over to you, but really it's all about me. Yeah. And take that as you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's the most selfless thing someone can say.
Yeah. I
really do.
And this is such a cool topic of conversation, because even with myself, after I've had great success, I've made community, money, impact with the things that I've done, and they've all been really purposeful, and they're all coming back, which is really exciting. Even like this podcast, the podcast was never made to make money. Like if this brought opportunities, fantastic. But I'm having this conversation because I want to have a conversation, and I would have these conversations anyway. We'd be on the phone talking and have this conversation, and I'd be like, why isn't this being recorded? Because other people would benefit from this. That was exactly why the podcast started, because I was saying to you before, I just get to connect with really cool people. I don't know what it is. It must just, well, it is energy, but the people around me don't get those opportunities. And I'm like, well, I do for whatever reason. Maybe it's because I put myself out there or I share something, and it has led to many things happening. And when it happened naturally, it was just so beautiful, and it gave me so much energy. Like, I'm never coming into a podcast going, I really don't want to do this. I want to have these conversations.
Yeah.
And like we said,
money's the byproduct.
Oh,
it's like, well, yeah, that's just whatever. It happens, but like, it's not what's feeding you or fueling you or sourcing. You know, and money's beautiful because it's a resource. And I've had to work through my ideas with money and just opinions and perceptions of it and on it, you know, as we all do, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the byproduct. It's like, like, again, what are you inspired to do? What do you feel excited about? How do you tune into that? Breath has been such a beautiful vehicle for that, for me, as a creator, as a creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that because for me, there are all those indications for me of like when I'm doing something that's, if it feels good for me, and I don't know if this is for everyone. I say this because, like you said before, like in terms of you do it because you would say these things anyway, you would share these things. I love hearing these things. When I'm teaching my program, the cool thing about when I did my program, when I was teaching it, every time I teach it, I'm going through it as well. So I'm teaching the topic, but then also reflecting on it myself. Yeah. I'm going back through my purpose, my vision, my identity work, through the values, and then going, hang on, I'm a bit off from that. Like I went back and clarified it, and I'm like, I'd be sharing it anyway. And this is where, like, I guess this new coming out of this rock bottom has given me that fresh light on like, I've always wanted to share this stuff. Yeah. And
it reminds you,
taking away the pressure of everyone else's advice and you should do this, you need to do that. And just being like, I would share this anyway. It doesn't have to be how this YouTuber is saying it needs to be done, or at this price, or this or that. It's what do I want to do? And that it goes back to that old thing. I love the saying of like, find a way to do what you love for the rest of your life. But then it got tainted by other people changing that to don't do what you love because it'll stress you out and not become a thing that you love. And do what you love, but also make money from it or something like that. And it was like, if I'm not doing what I love and making money, it means that I'm failing and it's not the right thing. Whereas taking all that away was like, I enjoyed, yes, we have a job and business to make income to survive in this economy or life, really. We need that as a resource. But if I enjoy doing it, why wouldn't I be sharing it? And it's taken the pressure off the result of it. Yeah. And whenever I've come from that place of just doing it because it's like, this is what I really enjoy, it's not because someone else told me I need to post this many times or do this. It works out. Feel good. Yeah, it'll feel good to me, and it naturally connects with people because they feel it. Well, look at the like I was saying about TikTok. Like I started posting these shorts on there, and it was like, you know, to get 1 million views in 2 weeks or over 1 million is like, what? I'd been posting nearly every day on Instagram and never even thought about this, but it just it doesn't mean like I said to you, when it was happening, I was getting excited because I was like, my phone was just like, I don't have notifications on, but when I'd click in, it'd be like 100,000 viewed it overnight, and I'm like, what's happening? Yeah. It was exciting, but it also meant nothing in terms of like it's great data, and for me, I shared this with a few friends and some other people because they're like, you need to monetize it now and do this and do that. And I'm like, it's great that people are getting these messages. Isn't that my reason of doing this? Like, what if the next clip gets 20 views?
Yeah.
Then if I'm
Right.
attaching, here we go. Attachment's coming back.
Your self-worth, right? And who are you then? You're nothing then, right? If the fluctuation of money is what you define your self-worth on,
Or views.
views, it's like, then you're always going to be fluctuating, and your energy is always going to be dependent on something outside of you, and that just goes against everything, that I share about, that I teach, that I talk about. And I've found myself in these situations. It's funny. It's funny to me. It's like ironic. But it's true. It's just how it is. And it's beautiful to have these realizations. They're very powerful realizations. If you don't attach your sense of self to something outside of you, you're free. You're free. Doesn't matter what's happening out there. You're good. Oh, that feeling, that power. I'm inspired by that, to share that with people, to show people how to access that. It's unmatched.
Yeah.
That's how I felt when I was little. Trying to get back to that place. It was so easy. Then we get programmed, but
That's part 2 of the
part
podcast.
2. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like how we say this from a place of like we're doing these things that we're passionate about, but if there is someone that is in the situation where they're working 9 to 5 and maybe in something they don't necessarily enjoy, but it's they're providing for their life and their families and stuff like that. How do you think people can still connect to that energy even if they're in that situation? Because I'm sure you've got people that come through to your sessions and stuff that are in that.
Yeah, it's like not perceiving a 9 to 5 to be the issue. It's like, again, your job, your situation, your life, it's not a problem. You are. Like, the way you're perceiving it is the problem. It's not, there's nothing wrong with any of it. And me personally at the moment, my practice is being able to step away from 2-hour breath session in the morning, my practice on the mat, and taking that in everyday situations and mastering my ability to be fully there without reacting to any of it. So for someone that's in that situation, can you use that situation, even if it's not where you want to be, to not resist it, to not want to be somewhere else? Because the wanting to be somewhere else is the problem. Maybe you might even find you actually do like your job. There's nothing wrong.
I got a quote when I shared last night. That's very on topic. And it is. No, I'll just go.
Carlo's got a page, a notebook, and it just says Julia. It's just a blank page. There's no questions. It's just
because we're flowing.
We're flowing. There's nothing.
It's just in case.
It's just in case.
Well, no, if something's coming up, I'm like, I want to touch back on that. But we always have circled back. The quote was, "You are not unhappy because you haven't reached your goals or dreams. You are unhappy because you believe where you are right now is not worthy of happiness."
I've spent so much time wishing I was somewhere else. And the moments that I feel the most peace is when I'm not in resistance to what I think it should look like or what it should be like. When I'm not listening out there and I'm not completely convinced by the voice in here as well. It's again learning how to become the watcher, the one that asks the questions. I love asking questions. Questions paired with a practice that allows you to feel fully, which is your breath. When something difficult is going on, you can either freeze, which a lot of people do, and just hold their breath, or you can let it pass through you. Your body naturally knows how to transmute, feel, process emotion. It wants to.
That's where these little practices become so. I think even with breath, it's coming back to the most simplest thing that you have. Whether it's stillness in meditation, whether it's just stillness, or whether it's breath, it's like bringing you back. And that, like you said, I've noticed it's a tool.
Mm-hmm.
You've always got it,
Mm-hmm.
but you're doing it most of the time unaware. But when you use that tool, it can allow you to be the observer much quicker than rock bottom. Now I have to observe.
Yeah, now I have to observe, and like that serves you because you're forced to deal with it. Whereas if you weren't in that situation, you would choose not to because it's uncomfortable. So having a practice, cultivating a daily practice, it's not about the practice or how good you are at the practice, whatever. It's about the commitment you make that allows you to face the days where you don't want to do the practice. Like you don't want to sit with yourself, but you do it anyway because you committed yourself to it. And that's where the growth is. It's not about
The result.
Yeah. It's about the commitment you make, the choice you make to confront it and face it, irrespective of what's happening. Mm-hmm.
I love it. If there was one more time that you could post on social media and you couldn't post again for whatever reason, you're still alive, social media just stopped, and it was like, this is the one time you could share something, one message, what would that be?
Make it an active practice every day to remember who you are. Because it's from that place that everything else follows when you know who you are. Like really know who you are. Not, I'm Jules, I work here, I do this, I make this amount of money. I'm not going to tell you who you are because that's a part of the game. That's the fun of it. Make it an active practice to seek and maybe ask the question, who am I? Who am I? Start there. What is going on here? Who am I? that would be it. Yeah. I feel like if every human being asked that question on the planet right now, everything would transform. Just posing that question, who am I?
Yeah. Who am I? And then that leads to the next questions of like, what am I here to do?
Uh-huh.
Or what do I want to do while I'm here?
Yes. Yeah.
I think everyone thinks about this, but like it's not.
Everyone thinks about it?
As common as I thought it would be. Like, because I've been around personal development, these, like yourself, we're asking these questions, but then I go back into the world, and I've noticed that, again, because for the past 10, 12 years I've been around personal development and network marketing and all these communities, which I'm so grateful for. Then there's some people that are unaware of that and don't ask those questions, and it's just kind of that same loop. And I think that it's really nice that, we get to have this conversation, and hopefully these clips kind of go out to people, and that's, the Conscious Podcast. We're trying to help people live more consciously. That's not a result of, you get this, you get this, you get this. It's just more conscious.
Can I say something really rogue?
Sure.
That just completely contradicts everything
that I just said.
That we do.
You're like, we're never conscious. Consciousness is a lie.
It's like, irrespective of what we're saying and doing, people are always going to hear what they need to hear at the specific time that they're ready to hear it. So it doesn't really matter what we're saying in the grand scheme of things. It's all perfectly planned for people to receive the next level when they need to.
For me, that reminds me of I don't know the exact quote, but it's like, when a man can enter a river, a man can never enter the same river twice, because each time the man is different and so is the river.
Mm-hmm. Same with the horse.
Yeah.
Can't make a horse drink the water in the river. I butchered that so bad.
Maybe. I've
make
never
a
heard that
horse
one.
drink
Yeah.
from the water in the river.
You can take the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because everything's always changing, and the right time for something will be different for everyone based on their life and their path and their journey.
Yep. And for the person that's like ready to choose and lean in, they'll be listening to this and be like, oh my God, that's exactly what I needed to hear. Wow. You illuminated something for me. Action.
Yeah.
Some people would be like, fuck this, I'm not listening to this. Turn it off. Like, it's just what it is.
Yeah.
I love that.
And that's also from me, the not having the attachment of everyone needs to listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
So the right people will. Like, the right people will find it. It's funny, I've had those comments where people have listened to an episode that was like number 40.
Mm-hmm.
That was 5 years ago. And I'm like, how is that relevant? And they're like, no, that was exactly what I needed to hear. Or I got that point from it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'm grateful that I left it up and I didn't delete it.
Yeah.
Because that was the message there. And even when I was going through, I had my little sauna healing moments for a good 6 months of my life. I only listened, most of the time I listened to nothing. It was just sit and listen. But then it was 2 podcasts that I just kept replaying.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was the message that I just, and I skipped past those in the past, but it was 2 specific ones that I just kept listening to because I was like, that's resonating right now.
Yep. For me, it's the Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. Really deep one. I keep reading it. It keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Poor. I've done the same thing with like deleting things off my page. Yep. It's like, oh, hang on. This actually might be helpful for someone. Yeah.
Why are you deleting it, Jules? What's coming up for you?
Yeah.
Different time. I think we're always going to be evolving, and that's going to meet someone where they're at in their evolvement, or not. Yeah. And before I used to be like, needs to be heard by everyone. Yeah. And it needs to be put in a way that everyone understands.
And you're not speaking to anyone.
Yeah.
It's again that filtration of I need to be a certain way to be perceived by the external, because I need to be accepted by the external, because that's where I derive my sense of self from, the external. It's like when you just don't, you're free to express from a place of truth, and that reaches people more. It's just so simple, isn't it?
Yeah. It's authentic, it's genuine, it's truth. Yeah. What do you have going on that people can, if they've resonated, how can they connect with you? Is there anything exciting coming up that you'd like to share?
I have a few events in the pipeline. Music events, holotropic events. Just run the first one, actually. That was incredible. So if you're keen to have a big, potential, massive release, or maybe nothing at all, because there's no expectation in the space, but the container is being held for you to feel fully, is what the BreathSeshh holotropic experience is. There will be another one coming up by the end of the year, probably one more. Not sure when though yet. It's coming soon. If you're wanting more of a, I'm new to this space, or I just need to feel something, or I just need to move through something now, that's what that event is. That's what that experience is for. If you are wanting to cultivate a consistent practice I run a course called the BreathSeshh Fundamentals course, 7 weeks. We go through the 7 different energy centers in the body, which just made so much sense to me. It used to be a 4-week course, and then I've evolved it since. I've been running it for 3 years. And yeah, just moving through each energy center, we ask difficult questions and use the breath as a tool to process those questions and to again build the devotion to a practice, to find enjoyment in feeling something. That's what that course is for. It's a personal development course alongside a breathwork course. Yeah, that is my current offering at the moment, my sole focus. Sharing the power of building consistent breathwork practice in your day-to-day, because you can go to an event, have a big hoo-ha breakthrough, and then you're like, fuck, now what? Same thoughts, same patterns, whatever. So I offer both of those things at the moment. And yeah, lots of things in the pipeline, but I think that I'll share those 2 things.
Awesome. And the events are Melbourne based?
Yep.
And everything else is online?
Online, yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'll leave all the links and show notes in the description below wherever you're listening or watching. Is there anything else you'd like to leave the listeners with? Anything you're feeling called to share?
Silence. Spend more time in silence with yourself on a day-to-day basis and listen to the voice. Even ask the question of like, who is talking to me? What is that voice? Make it an active practice to spend time in silence and sit with yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. Like, you book in time to go and see a mate and you put it in your calendar and you're really serious about it and you care about it. Like, do the same with yourself. And you'll see, even if you just sit in a chair and do nothing and stare at a wall, you'll have lots of different voices, and then your mind will quiet, and then you get a sense of inspiration or an idea, or something will come up and you'll want to take action. And then you'll be interacting with the spirit that my work is leading people towards. And just start now. Like, you don't need to have some really intricate practice. You can just sit with yourself and listen. Yeah, that's what I want to share.
I love that. I double on that because that's been so powerful for me this year. As much as I didn't want to, it was exactly what I needed. And it's a good little practice because we're so distracted in life, in social media, in our phones. And when do we ever pencil in that time for ourselves? Like you said, we make time for everyone else and everything else, but you do that until you get burnt out, hit rock bottom, and then you're like, oh fuck, I have to sit here now.
Or you do it until the bad is outweighing the perceived value you're getting from avoiding.
Yeah.
You're like, I can't hurt myself anymore. I can't avoid this anymore. I actually want to feel like I'm enjoying my life. I actually want to value myself. I actually want to trust myself and listen and have fun. It's that. It's like, it's only when you get to that place of like,
can't do this
I
anymore.
can't do this anymore. I just can't.
Hopefully, this conversation has inspired you not to get to that point. Sometimes you have to get to that point. Like, it's just, that's your journey, and that's going to be the tipping point for you. But yeah, there are things you can do along the way, like sitting with yourself to listen instead of avoiding for so long that it just happens. But I love that. I'm so grateful that we finally got to have this conversation. You declined years ago when I asked for whatever reason, and you know, I don't hold anything against that, but you're someone that I've always admired in terms of your authenticity. You're just being a genuine human, and I see that you do enjoy what you do, And for someone that's, I'm not part of your community, I'm kind of someone that we've met along the way and I've been able to watch from afar, has been really nice. And we've always, when we have connected and went bouldering or whatever, we've always just naturally connected. We've been like, man, I get you. We're the same.
That's most of my friendships.
Yeah.
It's like there's no maintenance there.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, we're here now. Be present. And then,
that's where the magic is. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for being you, and thank you for sharing today. And yeah, I'm so grateful.
Yeah, I felt really relaxed. So thank you for being an incredible listener and for also reflecting back. It's just genuine human. Yeah. Beautiful soul.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Keep
right
doing
back
it.
at you. You're a mirror. What you
No,
see
you
in
have
me,
it.
what you see in me is also within you. No, I love it. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please go across and follow Jules on all her things. If something has inspired you, again, reach out, like share a message. We appreciate those. And if you're not already, go check out our Instagram, The Conscious Podcast. There's little clips of Jules and everyone else that I've interviewed. All the channels, just if something has inspired you, it's nice when people reach out and say, oh man, I resonated with that. Thank you for sharing. I think that's always nice when we get those messages. But, if anything, take those points and start implementing them in your life. And if you're in Melbourne, come join a sesh. And
yeah, community gatherings as well. Fitzroy, Torquay, they're free. Come suss it out. Everything's on my Instagram, so you can suss me out there. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for listening, guys. Until next time, take care.
Peace.
Peace.